All right, awesome people. So we are back to yet another energizing, enlightening session. And this time our guest is Teapot. We'll understand from him why this name Teapot. If I have to tell you is exactly, it is Adebayo Jacobs-Amoo. He is a technologist. He is a community leader. He is a generous contributor to various communities, whether it is education, whether it is technology, whether it is learners, whether it is organizations. And we are so grateful to him for sponsoring. He's not sponsoring with the intention of promoting his company or anything, but for sponsoring stay of 10 speakers. And this is not just like 10 nights, it can be 20 to 30 nights, which is he's sponsoring for the game of testing and conference. And thanks a lot, Teapot, on that. So before I pass on the mic to you so that you can share who you are, and you can share why Teapot, and you can share why you are so generous. Like, companies don't go out and sponsor, but you did. So let me just also add on to what you are doing. So as much as he's a test manager and a consultant offering consulting on not just testing, but also on software services to companies around the globe, he's also Chief Enlightening Officer for the global testing community, the Test Chat community. He's also founder of My Libri Books, which is enabling the youngsters to solve problems or the high cost of textbooks in Africa, and also having a lot of beautiful work done here on the climate change. He's also co-founder of Miniways Global, which is a financial planning and finance data analytics group. He's also Teapot NG. This is a company in the Nigeria which is supporting small businesses, mid-sized businesses, incubating ideas and, business entity agility, providing IT solutions. So the introduction can just go on and on for this amazing soul. Now that's it, Teapot. I put a spotlight on you and I pass on the mic to you so that you can share a bit about you before you start your amazing session. And you can start answering any questions to the audience. So over to you, Teapot. I see you really well. You are, you are a perfect, straight, horizontal face showing, video here. And so don't worry about the settings. Over to you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the introduction. May I seek the indulgence of everyone to let's do the speech first, and then I would explain the rest about everything you've talked about, because I think this speech is very much important. I'm talking far away from home. I've not been at home for a while. I walk across few countries. So if that is fine by everybody, let's go into the conversation, then I'll talk about myself at the end of it. I want to try and I want to try and get things rolling quickly so we can have more time, and then I can talk about myself. Okay, so okay, start broadcast. So I want to share my screen with you. Can everyone see my screen, please? Can someone say yes, they can see my screen?
Yes.
Right. So I want to talk about the foundation of software testing from the front line, the things we've learned, how we use them, where and how and when. And the background to this is about a project I did a few years ago. So I was recruited onto a project. And when I got there, there was a test manager, in-house test manager. And when I spoke to my clients and tried to understand what the project was about, one thing was very obvious to me. They all know the go live date, and they all know when they want to go live. That was very certain, nothing else. So I started asking questions. There was no testing, even though there was a test manager. The test manager was the testing. He doesn't have any testers. So he does all the testing by himself in a silo, apart from everybody else. So I said, how exactly do you test? Can you show me? And he walked me around the entire IT department. We have system analysts there. We have some support guys there. We use them to do testing. We collate the testing and everything is fine. Great. So do you have any test artifacts, any document I can see? None. Okay. So we start afresh. And then when I started speaking to people, I realized that all of these people knows this buzzword around testing. Test script, test plan, test strategy, they all seem to know the keywords. The problem I found immediately was there was no actual test strategy. There was no actual test plan. There was no test scripts or any of them. There was no test anything. And then I tried talking to people like, let's write a strategy. Let's have a strategy and a plan so we can do things properly. Huge backlash. And back then, I sat down and looked at the project and then look at what I can do. And I went back to when I started learning testing, the sort of things my coach and mentor taught me that I should learn to do a lot. So that is what I want to talk to you about today, right? So this is what everything I've spoken about. So I sat down, wrote a strategy, and then I went to the CIO, Chief Information Officer of the organization, and said, the reason previous project has failed, the reason this project is on the verge of failing is because we don't have strategy, we don't know where we're going, we only know what the goal at date is, no one seems to know what we're doing. Well, this is a strategy, can we all try to adopt it? The guy looked at me and said, well, he's not the person I need to convince. I need to convince the entire project board. Now, most of these guys on the project board are in position of decision-making, serious authority. Some of them, two of them are my direct boss. Like they have to pay me, you know. So I sat down with them, and for a very long time, I was trying to explain to them why we need a strategy, why it's important we define where we're going from where we are now, and how we intend to get there, who's going to do what exactly are the key deliverables, and how we get them, how we measure progress, how we measure success, how we measure everything, quality, metrics, and everything. And huge backlash, a lot of back and forth, a lot of argument, a lot of debate, sometimes bordering on who are you and why should we even listen to you? How do you think you can come from anywhere and just change the way we work and everything? One thing was going for me. I didn't just know the keywords. I know exactly what they mean. I know what the test strategy is. I know why we need it. I know what a test plan is. I know why we need it. I know what test scripts, test cases, all of those things they consider buzzwords. I know exactly what they mean. And I know why we need it. So I started communicating, right? Communicate. I wasn't anywhere near to a laptop, a desktop, or clicking any button at this point. But I was already testing. Because now I have to get this strategy in front of everybody, explain it to everyone, tell them how they would all be involved, and get them to buy into it. I have to have clarity of communication, which is really important, right? Eventually, after all of this and everything, you know, they all agreed, but they tied it to my neck. Like, if everything fails, you know, it's all your fault. Like, great. Not like it has worked before. If it worked before, I wouldn't be here in the first place. So let's do it. One of the very first things I noticed, we were building a clinical system for nurses and doctors and allied professionals and all sorts of different medical fields. And these guys were previously testing with DBA roles, system admin, DBA. Okay, there's just one problem. There's no such thing as DBA on the shop floor. You can't walk into the wards and say, which of you is the system admin? It doesn't exist. You only have nurses and doctors, therapists, pharmacists, all the clinical roles. So why are we testing with DBAs and system admin? Another fundamental issue. Be the last line of the user. You are the very first set of users as testers. So I have to do it like the end users will do it. I need to see what these guys will see when they get the application going. I want to know everything they would see. I want to see the way they would see so I can address any challenges we might have. It took a lot to get that to be done. Oh, we've always used DBA because we want to see everything, which is fine. But if the doctor wants to do something, the doctor is only interested in what it could do, what it should do, what it should use the system for. That's what the doctor wants to see. Okay. Second, this application we're building is supposed to go live in a few months, and you're still making changes. So basically, you're changing stuff at the same time we're testing, and then we build, and then you change stuff while we are testing. All of us are actually doing everything at the same time. So I told them, well, we need to introduce a change phrase. I'm happy to entertain all your changes, but we need to introduce a change phrase. Another lesson applied. I was not shy or scared of putting my knowledge to test. The alternative is to fail. If I did not speak up, nothing would happen. Nothing would change. No one is ready to change. Okay? So I introduced a change phrase. Now, next thing, how do we test? Oh, those guys do this bit and those guys do that bit and everybody do their bit and everyone just do their own stuff. Okay, it's not gonna work that way. I need to see what everyone is doing, visibility. We need to collaborate, we need to work together. I turned the entire IT department into a social group where we meet briefly every other day, 5-10 minutes. I talk to them what we've done, where we are. I didn't ask them to tell me what they are all doing because I know I was chasing everyone. And then everyone got used to it to the point where they remind me that, oh, we need to have a catch-up meeting. Tomorrow? Yes. Clarity. As testers, we need loads of it. In the midst of chaos, we need to be calm. Otherwise, the message will be lost. The message is either going to be lost in translation, in execution, or in planning. And we can't afford to lose the message in any of those points. So the test environment is free for all. Everyone have access to it. In fact, some people build stuff in the test environment. The test environment does not mirror any other environment, not prod, not anything, not even dev. I stopped all of that. Degree of freedom is one of the very fundamental things I learned when I started learning testing. You do your building outside of me, the tester. I'll do my test with you based on what you built. And we can talk about everything else. I separated that. I achieved the degree of freedom to almost zero. Sometimes they still call me to ask for my opinion when they are building stuff because I've done the application before. And sometimes I go to them and make suggestions. And when I'm testing, I make sure that they have visibility. I make sure that I have visibility of everything I'm doing. So they know, okay? And we started off. Now, let me tell you the result. We did all of that for a couple of months and go live did not sleep. It was painful. I can tell you that. It was painful, it was hard, it was very, very serious, painful. But this is what we did. Yeah, we had, usually what they do is they bring in people to support go live. in case of anything happening. Everyone expects disaster, right? My test team was put on standby. There was fear. You could almost cut it with a knife. You know, it's like the rapture is around the corner, okay? Right? Go live day came, 0 hour silence. I had extra resources lined up to attend to urgent miseries and calamities and everything. Nothing. So it's absolute silence. 4 hours in, nothing. Okay? Everybody was free. Everybody was happy. And I wrote this speech 4 years ago to document how that happened. So let me share with you what happened. This is a real life experience, right? This is actually a 2-year project that happened. And it ended in December 2018. It was a long time, right? The things that helped me, right, are the things that I've learned at the beginning of my career. None of the skills we have as testers is a waste. They all count. Before you go anywhere near your laptop to click a button or touch a pad or do anything, before you do any of that, testing starts from the moment you get on there to start reading the documentation or learning about what is going on or what you're about to go into. Communication, how do you approach people? James Bach once said that we should all learn the art of asking questions in such a way that people would answer us, provide answers to us, jump through hoops and loops to provide answers to our questions. That is a very, very valuable skill we should all have. Communication, clarity of purpose. Where exactly are we going? What are we doing? All of these guys know about automation. All of them knows about a certain tool unknown to them. I developed that tool for the vendor of the application, but they didn't know that, and I didn't say it. But I wanted to show them that all of you are pseudo expert of testing, but you don't really know a lot about testing because the way you're going about things is wrong. I was not afraid to tell them they were wrong. I was not afraid to put my entire knowledge on the line, experience on the line. Let's do it this way. It doesn't mean that's the best way. It doesn't mean that's the only way. It means I wasn't scared. I was ready. That's what it meant. Right? I put my knowledge in there. It's most of the previous projects they've done have been disaster anyway. What's the worst that would happen? It can't go any worse than that. Right? Do not be afraid of change. All of this knowledge we have, put them to test. Even in the face of absolute rejection, put your knowledge on the line. Let's do it this way. Let's document our findings. Let's document our processes. Let's document X, Y, Z. Let's have a plan. Let's follow the plan. Let's have a strategy. Who's doing what? Ask all these questions. You would not always get yes. No one's going to give you a yes on a platter of nothing else. But until you ask, you would not know. Okay? Be calm. I wish we can convert this from an attribute to a skill set. We need to be calm. When we go from a particular strategy or plan to firefighting, fire quenching methodology, we need to be calm. One thing we can't afford to do is get lost in the midst of the chaos that we might find ourselves. We need to be calm at all times, right? Revise every little things you've learned about software testing. I'm not talking about now. I'm talking about actually when you started. Because sometimes as we progress, we tend to leave things behind. We tend to not use some things that we think, oh yeah, I knew that about 20 years ago. Yeah, I knew that about 15 years ago. Sometimes those things are exactly what we need. We're talking about test cases these days and a lot of this. Why do we need test cases? How do we write test cases? How do we develop test cases? How do we come up with all of these exploratory test skills? And those are things that we learn as fundamental part of software testing. Revise them time and again. Learn them over and again. You would realize that each time you do, you have things to always apply them to afresh. Those are the key takeaways I have from my speech for you today. And that is what I want to talk to us about. I can't see any question yet. I'll take your question. And as promised, let me talk about myself. My name is Adebayo Jacobs-Amoo. I'm called Teapot. I'm a co-founder of the Test Chat community. Actually, I was promoted during the week. I am the Chief Enforcement Officer of the Test Chat community. In case you see CEO in my title, I have about 3 decades of hands-on experience as a test manager. I've been a test analyst before then, for a few years as well. I used to be a developer that only lasted about 4 months because I keep seeing Java codes in my sleep every time I close my eyes, so I couldn't live with it. And I moved into testing accidentally because I didn't know. I work across several countries, United Kingdom predominantly, Europe, the Middle East, Latin America, and I think I'm beginning to do a little bit of work in Africa as well, Nigeria specifically. I play golf a lot. If I'm not in front of the computer, I'm swinging a golf club somewhere, any golf course I can find around me. My handicap is currently 11.6 for those of you that follow golf. It's not good, but I'm trying to be a single handicapper this year. Hopefully I'll get better. I train and mentor newcomer testers. I teach software testing. I teach fundamental and test automation basics. I don't go into deep conversation about automation tools and which is what, or I just teach why, the philosophy behind automating tests, how we go about it and why. Okay. I mentor a lot of people. My mentorship program is about 9 months long. I'm currently overbooked till about April 2024. So I don't really have any space in my calendar, but I do try to help out wherever I can. And I'm also a co-founder and the founder of about 2 startups. I'm the CEO of Teapot NG. I'm the CEO of My Library Books. I'm a co-founder of MoneyWise as well. So thanks for coming to my conversation today. I hope you've